On the road, in the air, on the water. Buckle up. Always wear a life jacket.
Hey there, guys. We're here with Greg Barton at the Epic booth. Greg is a 4-time Olympic medalist. Very cool. He knows so much about these boats and paddles. In fact, he's part of the process where they're developing new things, new ideas all the time. I've been walking past this booth, to be quite honest, a couple times, and I was just a little intimidated because it looked so competitive, and I was like, I don't know what to do. But when I walked in and I learned all of these things about the boats that you guys have put together, it made sense to me, and I want you guys to explain that to our audience. So our audience would be familiar with a boat like that. Then there's the boats that are developed a little bit more like this, looking more competitive. But you say no, and they would be interested in paddling something like this. So explain the differences.
Well, what Epic is all about is I started in competitive kayaking, and I always used very lightweight, very efficient, very fast gear.
Yeah.
And then I retired from Olympic racing and started doing more recreational paddling, and all this gear was really heavy and not very efficient.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, let's take some of that same racing technology, the materials, efficient shapes, but make it in something that's user-friendly for everybody.
Okay, yeah.
So it looks like a racing craft, but it's actually as stable as a conventional kayak.
Okay, and so this is based off sort of the idea of a surf ski, and I know a lot of people think that those surf skis are unstable and like they won't be able to paddle them. Is that true?
Yeah, the Surfskis of 20 years ago were all racing craft.
Okay.
And it required a lot of skill, a lot of time. People spent time swimming, remounting.
Yeah.
And since then they've evolved. They've gotten shorter, they've gotten wider, they've developed new features, and now they're user-friendly that really anybody can use them.
Okay, and so why would somebody use a craft like this that is surf ski-like but a bit more stable, like you say, versus sitting in the kayak?
Well, these two boats, the 18X Sport and the V8 Tour, have a very similar hull, very similar speeds, very similar stability. The main difference is the cockpit.
Okay.
And with this boat, you're sitting on top rather than inside.
Okay.
And a few of the advantages of that, if you're going out someplace, if water washes in, it'll simply wash out, or it's got a drain. You can drain the water out of the cockpit.
Okay.
With this, you can use a spray skirt, which may keep some of the water out,
Yep.
but they can still leak. And the biggest thing is the event of a capsize.
Right.
If you capsize in this boat, you've got to remember to pull off the spray skirt. You get out, your cockpit's full of water, you're trying to get back in. It's a very difficult process to do.
Yeah.
Whereas on the surf ski, if you fall off, you just go here, pull yourself up like a surfboard, pivot your hips into the seat, and you're off and going again. So rather than having a 5 to 10 minute ordeal or more trying to self-rescue, you've spent 30 seconds and you're off and going again.
Yeah, and so if somebody is the type of person that wants to go out on their own, they don't want to be held back by waiting for a buddy if they don't have one, they could take something like this and feel quite comfortable self-rescuing because you just flip it back up and get back on.
Yes, it's a much safer boat. It doesn't require knowing Eskimo roll. It's not going to fill up with water. Again, just climb on, you're off and going.
Okay, and what about the comfortability of it? So I know a lot of people will notice that there's a back band in there and there's thigh braces in there, and they're just, because they're familiar with it, will be like, that's going to be the more comfortable boat. But I heard something really interesting perspective about the surf ski and how it helps you sit properly.
Yeah, the surf ski, again, you've got complete freedom on. You're sitting here, you've got your feet up here, and what that does, it actually frees up your body rather than saying, oh, my knees have to be splayed out to the side to fit underneath the deck, and they're kind of uncomfortable because I'm cramped and the foot brace is a little bit too close. With here, you've got freedom, your legs can move around. It actually makes a more efficient stroke. What you're doing, if I'm paddling on the right side, I'll be pushing with my right leg. That's going to pivot my hips in the boat. It's going to connect with my core. So I'm going to be getting my power from my legs and core, not just my arms.
Right.
And I've got that freedom to do that in the surf ski, much more so than in a boat that's decked and I've got my legs stuck under the deck on the side.
Yeah, and in a kayak like that, I guess you can really just like relax and chill, and you're not really engaging your muscles if you don't have to. But here, you're always prompted to sit upright.
Yeah, it encourages good posture. You're sitting up, more efficient paddling position. And you can, if you want a little more comfort, you can put something back here for a backrest. You can
Okay.
pad out the seat. You can do some custom modifications if you want to.
Cool.
But it encourages you to sit with good posture, develops your core.
Yeah.
It's good overall body exercise.
It's very interesting. It looks like a really incredible boat. It looks like you could go so fast in here. And you were talking about riding waves in the ocean too with these types of boats?
These boats were originally developed for going through the surf zone in Australia to rescue swimmers. They could
Okay.
go out to the water's edge, you jump in, the waves are crashing on you. You don't have to worry about putting a spray skirt on, you just go, you
Okay.
get to people. But the newer boats are made more for open water. So
Okay.
rather than surfing waves that are crashing on the beach, you're out beyond the breaker zone.
Okay.
And typically we try to set it up so you're paddling downwind. And you're paddling down, the wind's blowing, there's waves, and so as a wave comes by, you'll surf that wave, pick up some speed, it'll eventually pass you by, you'll maybe turn off a bit, and then you'll catch the next one. And it's a really fun experience. You're constantly changing direction a little bit, you're working with the ocean, you're going a lot faster, and it's a really thrilling experience.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I would love to try that out someday.
And the good thing about the Surfskis is they are so versatile. I've talked about paddling them in the ocean, but you can take them on flat water in the lake, they're efficient, they're fast, you can paddle on class 1 and 2 rapids with them. They really are like the SUV of a kayak. There's so many different conditions they're well suited for.
Amazing. Well, if somebody wants to learn more about these types of kayaks that you have here, then where would they do that?
They can go to epickayaks.com. We've
Okay.
got all the information. Reach out to us, send us an email. Be happy to talk to people.
Amazing. That's great. Thank you so much.
Alrighty.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thanks, Brenna.